There we go. So that's we'll see when he pops in. I have the list opens when he does. We're good. Put that back up there. All right. So yeah, now today's challenge is let's create this role method. So this role an individual item. So the minute, let's not care where this choice comes from. And because our method doesn't really care. Our method doesn't need to know if it's coming from an actual input, if I'm typing the number in, it doesn't care where that number comes from, right? And so in the role system, we're just gonna assume that we're gonna get a number and we're not gonna check it. And we can also assume in the role system that we get a number that's valid for the moment. We're just going to assume from the moment that the number we get is valid. It's between 1 and 5. It's a valid number, because if we ever want to check for that, we would probably check it during the collection phase, right? When we're actually getting the number. And we can also add a validation system for the role triggers. Look at that. Hold on a second. Sorry, wife was looking for something. Okay, so let me tell you, this is going to do his coordinate chat task. All right, never mind. Let's move forward. All right, sorry about that. Wife needed me for a second. So we're not going to care about where the choice comes from. We're not going to worry about validating it because we can always add that in later. The first thing we want to do is make sure our logic works before we start validating our system. So let's just assume we get the right number. And so if we want to roll a specific number or a specific die out of our list, well, what can we do to access a specific item out of the list? We know in an array, we use what?
A for loop.
What's that?
A for loop.
Again, we're just going to do it. Remember the word choice here is singular, right? So we only need to roll one die, right? So we don't need, do we need to loop through the whole thing?
I thought you said we were trying to loop through an array.
No, if we want to access something out of an array, sorry.
Oh.
Normally, if we access something in an array, how do we access it?
Index notation.
We usually do something like this, right? That's how we would normally do it. But this is where there's a slight difference. And this is where the slight difference between the array and the list comes into play. In an array, yes, you use the bracket notation. In a list, you just, again, since a list is an object and not an array, it has to go through methods. You have to access things through methods. So you do dice.get. And now you do give it the index. See how that works? So this is dice.get, and it's get, we put the choice in. So you can imagine the get parentheses is your bracket. Otherwise, it's identical to the array. And now once we have the dice, we can use roll and send it random. That should do it, right? That rolls that one die, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's test it. Let's go back to main. We have our my hand roll here, where we roll the whole thing. Well, let's this time instead do my hand dot roll. We still give it random, but now we're going to also give it a choice. Let's say let's roll that first die. We'll do it again here. same one. Let's play it. I'm gonna even just do it a couple other times just to really see, make sure it works, because this can mathematically show me that I'm not doing it right. Oh, look at that. The remaining 4 stay the same, but the first dice changed each time. If I change this to 3 and 3 now, hit play, we'll see that this column should change. That 2, 1, 5. So now I can pick one die and roll it, right? That's nice. Well, let's make sure we can actually get that from the user, right? Now we should probably get that from the user. Well, actually, no, let's take a quick peek at our.
I think we're missing. Have we rolled any dice that get 6? Might be missing that.
There we go. It just gave me a bunch of them now.
Oh my God.
Nothing against you, Cullen. My program was just like, oh yeah. Question me.
I just played so much Yahtzee. That's all I look for.
Gotcha. No worries. So yeah, we got this one. We can now re-roll a specific die, and now I can get a single die choice from the user. So let's get one. Now let's actually add that user system. Oh, I actually clean some of this up. I just realized, by the way, I don't need any of these things open right now. There we go. That, and I want that open actually. So it really does it make sense if the die asks the user for input?
Doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't really make sense if the die asks for user input. The die is a die, and the dice are dice. So it doesn't really make sure. My hand wouldn't be asking me what I want to do, right? If your hand starts asking you what to do, you have a problem.
Really?
You might be infected with a parasite. So if your hand is asking you what you want to do, yeah, that's not good. In this case, it's like the game is kind of the thing that's asking. And even then, this is something that we want to kind of do a couple times. Maybe we might want to ask the user multiple times, and so it can be beneficial for us to have this kind of prompter, a prompt class or a console class, so we can ask for things and also print things. It'd be good to make sure that my inputs and outputs for the console is stored in a class, especially because if I have that in that case, once I learn more advanced items, I could create an interface that allows me to either use a console system or to use a graphical interface or use an actual GUI, right? I could swap out a console system for let's say a GUI-based system or a web-based system for display. We lost somebody. Who dropped? I think Christian just dropped. Yep, there he is. He's back. Nice.
Ugh.
That was weird. You dropped like completely, not just your camera turned off. You actually dropped out of the call list for a second there.
Yeah, it's my hotspot.
Oh, okay. So you actually did lose the internet for a second. Okay. Yeah, I was like, if your camera went off, usually your just name would pop up. No, you literally fell off the call for a second. All right, cool. Welcome back. So let's go ahead and create a new class. We're gonna call this, I like calling it console. I'm going to do a scanner. System.in. This is all the stuff you guys have been doing, so this is nothing new. And now, what are some prompts I might want to have? Well, there's a simple one, just a welcome prompt, right? Yeah, so let's do a public void welcome.
Excuse me.
All good.
Nothing against you.
All good. Welcome to Yahtzee. Titus made it in. There he is. Hello, Titus.
Welcome in, Titus.
So, like I was just checking to see if you were popping in. We are doing some more Yahtzee stuff, something you're very familiar with. So I was just curious if you were planning to join or not.
Yeah, I was. I was in a creep in and just slow learning. But yeah,
Cool.
I'm watching.
Awesome. Like I said, I am recording it, so it'll be up on the call. Which, yeah, yesterday's thing is up on the playlist, by the way. So, all right, so we got welcome. let's go ahead and now the main thing we need here is just the ability to get an integer, right? We want to be able to get one int currently. So let's go ahead and do public. We'll do int. And we can actually call it get choice. So it kind of makes sense to what we've been doing before, these kind of getters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do system out, pick a die, -5, roll. And I'm actually just going to use print this time for a second because I want to show what this looks like. And this is something I've done before. And dash because that's what it wants. Now we'll do scanner next int. And I'm going to save that. And int choice. Scanner. Return it. Pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
Yeah, nothing too fancy. Now let's over here to main, and let's actually go ahead and instead of actually typing a choice in hardwired, let's go ahead and do. Oh, I need to do a. And I don't think I do. So, all right, that's 3. And I actually want to do one last thing here, by the way. Public static class. Capital S. Right? Hold on. Yep. Nope. Hold on.
Shouldn't have to do capital. I've never done that before.
In the wrong spot.
Oh, I always do public static. I was
Yeah, just wondering why the autofiller isn't noticing it.
because the other methods. What? Try making the other methods static as well. Could that be it? Because the methods aren't static.
Maybe. Let's find out.
No, I don't know.
Interesting. No, I'm not going to do it anyway because I should just be able to do this. I'm thinking I can still do it what I want anyway, even though it didn't mark it as static. But I feel like I should be able to do it. Let's find out. Let's see if I can do it. Hold on. No, won't let me do it. Okay.
Is this
Fine.
I feel like this is a kind of dumb question, but can you have static classes?
I think so. I feel like I did before. Let me go check my notes again. Hold on. I feel
Plus,
like that's what I have.
what you want to do if you're going to do it that way without instantiating it like as a
Right.
new variable, it's just you just put the new keyword before console.
Oh, no,
new
never mind.
console dot.
The class isn't static. The content is static. My bad.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
I was having brain. I think I was doing C# in my head or something.
Oh, I gotta look that up because I swear I've done it before.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there we go. That's what I meant to do. Because now that I've done that, now that everything is static, there's no instantiation. The reason why I did that is because now over here, I can now do console. Yeah, not that. Console dot get choice.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to instantiate now because the whole class is static, meaning
that's
that
cool.
it's not dynamic. There's nothing changing. It's always the same thing. I no longer have to instantiate. So now I can do welcome to get my welcome, and I can do console dot get choice, and it helps me do capital C. There we go. And so now I don't have to instantiate the console because it's a static item. Nothing changes. There's no instantiation to it. It's always the same thing. There's no need to store 2 versions of the console because they're not going to change independently of each other. We know we want to have 2 cups because those items are going to change independently of each other. The console is this console thing I created is not going to have 2 variations of itself. It's only going to have 1 version of itself. So I make it static, and now I don't have to instantiate. I can just use the class itself. So let's see how that looks. Go ahead and run it. All right. Let's see if we can get a full house. We'll go for number, let's roll number 3. Oh, wait a minute. That didn't work right.
I was going to say, I changed it because I figured that you guys did and I missed it.
Nope. I
Okay,
didn't.
all right.
So what did I not do?
Your index for the, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I want to increase by, actually, I want to technically decrease by 1 for the index because our user is going to end 1 through 5, we want 0 through 4 for indexing. So I want to do it here because, again, this is the choice system. This is not, the hand is expecting you to tell it what you want to roll. It wants what it wants. It doesn't know that it's talking, it doesn't necessarily know if it's going to be talking to a computer player or the actual player. And well, a computer, we're just going to return with 0 through 4. We're just going to use the randomizer to give me a 0 through 4, right? And the actual user, we're going to want them to do 1 through 5 because we've already talked about how humans count from 1 to 5. There's first place to 5th place, while developers have a 0th place to 4th place. So again, we count like humans. We do count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we have a 0th place, not a first place. First place is not a winner in our mind. If you have a race with a developer, you want 0th place. I'm going to add my change here in our get choice. So choice -1. Now, if I try it again, let me go ahead and finish this. So go ahead and do 3 again, just for the fun of it. And I ended up getting the exact same thing I started with. Love math. Let's go ahead and try this again. Let's try for a full house. We're going to roll the first die again. Hey, I got full house. Problem is I have to put something. I can't put nothing. So I'm going to break my full house. So we'll go to 2 and we get nothing.
Yeah, you want to be able to end your turn prematurely.
Yeah, and that's something that I'll be leaving you guys to add in. How do you want to let the user do that? I said, I'm going to go through you guys giving you guys an 82 at the best score you can get. If you give me exactly what we do in class, the best you would get is an 82. Because there's a lot more you can do. You can add in the ability to say, I don't want to re-roll something, so recognize the 0 and note and make sure it doesn't pass that to the system. Because right now, if I write 0 here, I'm going to get an out of bounds.
Yeah.
So those are things you got to handle, and that it kills the program. We want to make sure we don't do that. So those are the things I'm leaving out because those are ways that you can improve your system.
Also, I believe if you put in a string, it would also break. It would break at the.
I don't think so because the next step just keeps going until you give it one.
Oh, okay.
Nope, it does. Okay.
Yeah.
I did hell instead of hello, but whatever.
Because I created a whole CLI class, which I can use in pretty much any project. And when it does,
Nice.
it basically just keeps asking you until you put in the right type. But
Wait, Gabe, can you say that one more time? You created a CLI that you can do what with?
that I can take into any program.
Yeah, there you go. Take into any program. Reusable objects. Remember that. There's a key item there. I like that. So yeah, if you're, like I said, once you get down the basis of OOP, that's what you're going to start noticing. And that's where you're going to benefit yourself. If you can start doing the OOP concepts, you'll build things that you can bring into other things. And that's actually what I want to say. If you guys build this class well, the next OOP challenge you get, any classes in this, you are allowed to bring into other projects and other challenges. So I allow you guys to bring any of your own classes into other projects, into other challenges that are OOP centric. So if you create good classes, you are allowed to bring those over, and that will save you time and make your next challenge a little easier on you. So try to create these good classes that we're doing here. So we got a get choice, we got a welcome. We now have that. Now we can actually do this idea where we get one choice from the user and we're going to re-roll it. So now though, we need to get multiple dice selections from our user. So I need multiple dice. Well, let's think about it from this point of view. Start here. If I want multiple choices, again, if I want multiple of something, what word is that? We have multiple of something. What is that in computer science again?
So collection? No.
Yeah, collections, right?
All right.
Any collection of items is a collection. So anytime you have multiple of anything, that is a collection of things. And so we want a collection of choices. We know the choices are going to be integers. And so what is a nice collection that we can use when you want a multiple of one thing? And we don't know how many, right? In this case, we don't know how many we're going to get. We get anywhere from, at this point, 1 to 5 choices, right? They could pick anywhere from 1 dice to all 5, right? And so in this case, what collection type can I use that is dynamic?
A list.
I like it. Thank you, Cullen.
Yeah,
List.
I read up a little bit too about why you would want to use list compared to array list, and
Making sense?
yeah, it makes more sense now.
Cool. Nice. Feel free to share that with them. If you had a certain article that helped you with that, feel free to share that in the class.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. I actually haven't looked into that yet.
So we're going to accept a list of choices. And again, right now, who cares how we actually get this? Who cares where it comes from? This is a safe item. So we have a list of integers, and these are going to be our choices. We're going to assume they're the numbers we want. And what we want to do is we want to loop through this list of choices and then roll those dice. So if I do, let's do a for loop. What kind of for loop though? I need to loop through all of these, and I definitely need to loop through each and every one. I don't want to skip any of the choices, right?
So we'll be doing a for each.
For each, or what's the other term we use?
We're in.
For in, right? Because there actually is a dot for each method. So do be careful of that. Even though I said that if you use for each here, no one would really get upset with it. I do want to make sure there is known there actually is a for each method, and you can't break out of those early, and it's a different syntax. The for in is what we want. So we're going to do for
That makes sense.
choice in choices. And so now I have something called choice. So let's go ahead and grab that die. So I'm going to do die dice equal or selected is selected equals dice dot get choice. And then what are we going to do with that selected die?
Gonna re-roll it.
Yeah, selected dot roll, right? Well, I notice here that I saved the dice dot choice and then I rolled it right away. Do I really need to save it to a variable, I guess?
If we're not going to use it,
I guess
again.
not, right? So I guess I could just do this. I don't need that anymore. And then I don't need this. But now I also need rand here. Sorry. But now, does anyone see a problem? Does anyone see anything odd here? I highlight this. Should do it. Oh, that's I'm thinking Visual Studio Code.
But yeah, it's the repetitive from line 23.
And this looks identical to line 23, doesn't it? Because I have choice here again and choice there. So maybe instead of doing that, I can just do roll choice. Oh, rand too.
With that roll? Oh, okay, yeah.
I could just reuse this roll method.
Oh wow.
No, it's not. It's not the same one. Oh wait, yes, it is. It's an int. Okay, never mind. For some reason, I was thinking that the choice was a.
Choice is an int.
Yeah, choice is an int in both places. I was just.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for some reason it was a different object.
Well, what's good is that an integer object of a list can instantly can be converted quickly to an int. You can go from integer to int, and it'll auto typecast that. No problem.
That's unboxing
Wow.
in this case, right?
What's that?
That would be unboxing in this case.
Unboxing, I think so, yeah, because that's taking it to a primitive type. Yeah, I believe that's the term, unboxing. Good call. And so then you can one-line it, and now this looks really nice. And this is, again, you reusing other codes, so you're not being repetitive. You're not retyping things. And so if we somehow change the way we roll a single die, we can change this. And now all these things are becoming really, really useful. Nice and clean, right? And for you guys, what I'm going to do, even though it's probably going to change it when I save it, but I'm going to leave it like this. You guys can see it very clearly and read it very easily. And now we can get this list of choices and print it out. So my challenge for you guys for tonight, a nice mini challenge, is I want you guys to take my code. So I'm going to go to the terminal, add -a, -m, rolling choices. And what I want you to do is actually in your console, create get choices. And this should return a list integer. Accurately an array list, but again, list integer is fine or array list is fine. But whatever you want to do it. This is what you're creating overnight. So if you've already created this in your own code, feel free to just take the grade I've given you and start working on that. So if you've already submitted your code and you already have something like this in there, feel free to just update your existing project and don't worry about doing mine specifically. If you're either behind or you didn't go this kind of route in your system, take this and take a challenge at it. See if you can create a console class method that will take the choice and be able to split it apart. So we really got to think about how can you get we want to be able to pull from our user multiple dice to re-roll in one shot and try to think about the most user-friendly kind of way you can do it. All right. And what most likely will happen is that tomorrow I'll most likely drop a hint at some point for anyone who's stuck. Tomorrow evening, I'll drop a hint of something you can look at to try to make it a little easier. But first, I want to see what you guys come up with. I'll drop a hint for anyone who's completely stuck. And that'll be and then we'll finish this up. We'll actually finish this project on Thursday. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. And the goal is next week we'll be able to review what you guys have worked on. So we'll do some presentations next week of what you guys have created.
Yay.
All right.
Cliff, before
Yes.
if everyone else is done and doesn't have any other questions related to this project, I just have a question about IntelliJ. But I
Go
don't
for it.
want to. Yeah. I don't know if you read my message back to you in classroom, but whenever I do like for each, like if I type 4 and then it says it gives you the 4, like if you type 4 right now within a method,
Yeah.
it'll give you the each. If you go to each, it creates that
Yeah.
stupid looking for in loop.
Oh Jesus.
That's why it was created that way, and I forgot. I was doing it to all of them except that one. I must have skipped that one. I didn't notice it, but I was refactoring them to look correct. Do you know how to remove that feature, that stupid looking auto crap?
Honestly, well, personally, no, but on the personal sense, with how simple this loop is,
Just
I
write
don't
it
see
out.
the need for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And now again, this is me being a really fast typer.
Yeah.
You're asking someone like me who can type this out faster than I can go and hit that extra item. I don't see myself saving much time by doing that because now I have to arrow key around everywhere. So for me, I would just do the stuff because
I had the same thing, Christian. Like I was doing it and I probably did it like 20, 30 times before I was like, you know what, I'm not ever gonna use for each ever again. I'm just gonna type it.
I'll just write it out.
I just typed it out. To me that little 4 thing where I have to hit the down arrow key and now I have to type in here. I now have to go down here and type in here. I have to arrow down again. Like the arrowing to the next space is almost unnecessary. It almost seems like it's harder than to do this because I can just do that now, and this is a better arrowing now. So I don't see the benefit of that personally.
Okay.
I think it'll automatically take you to the spots when you use tab, I believe, or maybe enter.
Yeah, but it's just ugly looking.
But it looks terrible, and then if you factor it, then it will when you have to.
Yeah, no, I hate that.
It's just ugly, and I just didn't
really
know.
Ugly, it's ugly.
Like that.
Yeah. So the reason why Christian brought up it on his submission, I did pick on him for this kind of thing because, again, closing brackets really should be on the same line where the line that created that opening pair is, so that you closed it accurately, so that these two lined up and so that these two line up on the same line in a way. So that's the common practices. So if you did want to do the new line, this is kind of how you'd want it minimized. And even then, that is such a massive indentation there.
Yeah, for what? Yeah, I'm not about that.
Like that's how far I would go in right here. 1 tab over, not 2 tabs. I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, that's another thing. It always has 2 tabs, and I'm like,
yeah, and that's why recently you can actually switch in like your editor settings and your preferences over here. I think under editor.
This is so much more in depth than like VS Code. So when I go into settings, it's like you're going down a freaking hole.
Yeah, they don't.
A mean rabbit hole. It is like insane.
Yep, editor tabs. No, that's editor tabs, not indent. So that gives anything. Oh, dang it.
Yeah, it's nice that there's so many options, but it's like too many. It's overwhelming.
Gotta find them, yeah. So a lot of times you'll see me not really use a lot of those those kind of pre-fillers, especially simple ones, because they're so easy to type. What I do like those for sometimes is being able to know that that's an option. So I'll use that to learn about a new feature in the system. Once I learn about it, I tend to not use it much anymore. I'll tend to just type it out. That way I don't become reliant on the IDE. That's a personal preference. And again, I can only get away with that because I'm a fairly decent typer. I had a nice typing class in high school.
I didn't take it serious. I regret it.
It also looks better in an interview, I would say, right? To actually type things out manually rather than relying on the IDE to do everything.
I will say though, on a side note, before we get to that, actually, before I forget about it, sorry, my ADD was not letting me listen. I feel like I want to listen to what you're saying. My ADD, what was it?
I said it would look better in an interview.
Yes.
To not use the shorthands.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so for anybody who feels like they need to improve their typing skill, there's a website called Typing Club. It's completely free. You can practice typing on it. So it goes through the whole touch typing lessons. It teaches a home base. It teaches each letter little by little. And so you can kind of hopefully improve your performance. I mean, you can probably do one lesson a day and slowly you'll get better. You'll see an improvement in your speed, and that can help with your interview if you're typing faster. So if you do find yourself being somebody who types with one finger in your what's called search and peck, something to think about. Maybe learn some touch typing. If you're someone that does touch type, you're not great at it, and you do have to look down the keyboard fairly often. This can help because again, any ways that you can speed up your skill gives you more time to work on the problem, less time having to waste on typing and stuff like that. So something I can definitely recommend. I used touch typing. I used Typing Club myself to kind of refresh some things, and I was using it for a while to try to learn Dvorak, but I couldn't afford the speed lost during my teaching that would allow me to switch to Dvorak. So as much as I want to switch to the Dvorak, Colin from a call back from yesterday. That's great.
No, it's 11. It's only 6 on one.
Oh, only one hand is 6. Okay. I don't think Christian's noticed yet.
What's the Dvorak typing? What is that?
What's that?
What's Dvorak typing?
Dvorak is another keyboard layout. So if anyone wondered where the QWERTY keyboard layout came from, it was due to the actual the typewriters. Those had the actual the actual like plungers or thing that would actually swing up and hit the paper, hit the ribbon. But if they were typing, what happened is that in the beginning, the typers were typing so fast that those plungers would actually crisscross and catch on each other because they were typing too fast. So they actually designed a keyboard that would slow down the typers.
What?
Oh yeah, the QWERTY keyboard was designed to be inefficient so that it would slow you down so that the plungers could have the time to go up, hit, and get back before the next button hits. Dvorak is another layout that is supposed to so someone who can touch type on the QWERTY keyboard, if they took the time to learn on Dvorak, could improve their speed of typing by 50 to 100% faster.
Oh man, I might have
They could potentially double their typing speed.
That seems really. I mean, I feel pretty good where I'm at, but if I start over from scratch, I feel like I could actually get more into it.
Yep. So that's the Dvorak keyboard. All the most common letters are on the home bar and not as often on the up and down. So you're doing less up and down typing.
Oh man.
Dvorak keyboard.
I kind of like the placements of the special characters.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Hold on. QWERTY versus Dvorak. Oh, there it is. That's it. So you see where your fingers are mostly hitting. Your fingers are constantly hitting up here, over here, and over here. So you're constantly moving around. This one, your hot zones are right in the center.
Yeah.
You're keeping your fingers very commonly in like, look how low the J is.
Oh yeah, semicolon's pretty convenient too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right there under where the Z usually is.
I like that.
It's a nice keyboard, and I was getting decent at it, but I couldn't afford the slowdown in my speed for class during my learning time.
Yeah.
So I do plan to learn it eventually. It's on my thing. I want to learn it, but just I need to be able to afford the temporary speed loss while learning that I would then eventually get back. And I was actually getting decent at it for a while, and I was using Typing Club to do it. So, so if you're not a blind typer now, try it out. In Mac, you can very easily just up here in your keyboard settings right here, I think it is. I have it actually available. So you can actually install it under your Mac system, and on Windows, you can install it, and it just remaps the keys. You don't even have to move the keys on your keyboard. You can use you can use a standard QWERTY keyboard as a Dvorak keyboard.
Yeah, of course.
So interesting little side note, and that's recorded. So yeah.